Dear students, in this module, we'll be continuing with the Chapter 11, Biotechnology Principles and Processes. In the earlier module, we had discussed about the various restriction enzymes, and we had also talked about the process of gel electrophoresis. In this module, we are going to basically discuss about the cloning vectors. Now, what do you understand by the term vectors, children? Vector is a carrier which helps to transfer the transgenic DNA or DNA of our interest into the host. So, when I talk about this term, that is vector, what do we understand by the term vector? Vector is a carrier, right? So, vector is a carrier which helps to transfer the gene of our interest. So, it is a carrier which helps to transfer the gene of interest into the host organism. So, it will help to incorporate the transgenic gene or gene of our interest into the host. Talking about the cloning vectors, there are n number of cloning vectors which are available. Like we have got the most commonly used cloning vector is plasmid. We have got phagmid, cosmid, we've got bacteriophages. Those are generally the viruses which infect the bacteria. We've also got BAC, which is bacterial artificial chromosome. We have also got YAC, that is yeast artificial chromosome. So, when we talk about vector, there are a variety of vectors that can be used. For example, we can have plasmid as the vector. We can use cosmid as the vector or the cloning vehicle. Cloning vehicle we can also use bacteriophage. That is viruses which infect the bacteria that can be used as cloning vectors. We've also got phagmid. Phagmid can be used as a cloning vector. The other cloning vectors which can be used or utilized are, for example, like BAC, which stands for bacterial. So, that stands for bacterial artificial. So, that stands for bacterial artificial chromosome. And then we have got YAC, which is referred to as yeast artificial chromosome. So, YAC refers to yeast artificial chromosome. So, these are the artificially prepared cloning vehicle. And why do we need these cloning vehicles which are artificially prepared? So that we can incorporate larger size foreign DNA of our interest into the cloning vehicle. Now, the most commonly used cloning vehicle or vector among this is plasmid. Now, what is plasmid, children? Plasmid is extra chromosomal genetic material which is circular and double stranded, and it is present in the bacterial cell. So, when we talk about bacteria like E. coli, it has got the plasmid which acts as a cloning vehicle, or it can be used as a vector to incorporate gene of our interest into the host. Now, this is the diagrammatic representation of an artificially prepared cloning vehicle which is referred to as PBr322. It consists of 4.363 base pairs. Now, what are base pairs? That is the nitrogenous bases adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. Now, why it is referred to as PBr322? P, the term stands for plasmid, B for Bolivar, and R for Rodrigues. That's the name of the scientist. This was artificially prepared in the year 1977. Now, when we talk about what are the characteristics of cloning vector, so let us get into the detail. What are the characteristics of a cloning vector? The cloning vector should have the ROP. Now, what is this ROP? ROP are the proteins which are required for the process of replication. So, ROP are the proteins required for the process of replication. When we talk about ORI, that stands for the origin of replication. This is the point where we can put the insert and it will replicate. When the plasmid will replicate, obviously the DNA of our interest, multiple copies of that will also be produced. So, this is the origin of replication. That is the point from where the replication begins. Now, what do you understand by the term replica? To make a copy of itself alike is what is referred to as replication. Next, we are having these selectable marker genes. Over here, there is presence of two selectable marker genes. One is AMPR and the other is referred to as TETR. Now, what does this term AMPR stands for? R stands for resistant, and AMP encodes ampicillin. Here R again stands for resistance and TET refers to tetracycline. So this bacterial plasmid, which has been artificially prepared by Bolivar and Rodrigues, is ampicillin resistant as well as it is resistant to tetracycline. There are many antibiotics which are available like chloramphenicol, kanamycin, ampicillin, tetracycline, to name a few. And this bacterial plasmid confers special characteristics to the bacteria by giving it resistance against ampicillin and tetracycline. It means that if you will grow this bacteria on a medium which contains ampicillin and tetracycline, these antibiotic will not inhibit the growth of the bacteria. Bacteria will proficiently grow in this particular medium as it is resistant to both the antibiotic. When we talk about these sites like PST1, PVU1, EcoR1, these are nothing but they are referred to as the restriction sites. So these are the restriction site of various restriction enzymes. In the earlier modules, we had discussed that the restriction enzyme like EcoR1, the specific restriction site of EcoR1 is, it is from 5' end, it has to be GAA TTC up to the 3' end. We know that the endonucleases, that is type 1, type 2 and type 3. Generally we use the endonucleases type 2. They are very specific for the restriction site and they are going to cleave, they will cleave the palindromic site from the 5' end to the 3' end. Now when we talk about the restriction enzyme, that is EcoR1, the restriction site is a 6 base pair palindromic site GAATTC, and it will carry out the cleavage between G and A from the 5' end. Again, when we start here, so this is the 5' to the 3' end. Here we will start from the 3' end to the 5' end. So corresponding to G, it will be C. Corresponding to T, the nitrogenous base, that will be A, it will be T. T, again we have got T, it will combine with A, C with G. So here the cleavage will be carried out at both the end GA, and these are palindromic because they are going to read the same from the 5' end. Here if you read it out from 5' end, it is GAATTC, and again if you read it out from the 5' end, it reads out as GAATTC. So these are the palindromic site, and that is the restriction site of the enzyme EcoR1. Similarly, and this site which gets cleaved, it produces sticky ends or staggered ends. We've already discussed examples like Haemophilus aegypticus, where the restriction site is GGCC, which produces the blunt end. So when we talk about the BAMH1, SAL1, HIN3, that stands for Haemophilus influenzae. So we are having PVU1, PVU2, PST1. So these are the restriction enzymes which cleave at a specific restriction site. Now why are they utilized over here? Because they act as molecular scissors. They will help to cleave the DNA at a particular site. So here if the cleavage is carried out with the help of BAMH1, we will be able to insert the DNA fragment of our interest into the cleaved region. So basically what we see over here as PST1, PVU1, EcoR1, all these are the various restriction enzymes which have got a specific restriction site where they carry out the cleavage. So when I talk about the characteristics of a cloning vector, as discussed, they should have the specific proteins which are required for replication, referred to as ROP. They should have the origin of replication, referred to as ARI. They should have selectable marker genes like ampicillin resistance or tetracycline resistant gene. They should have the restriction site of various restriction enzymes like PST1 to EcoR1 in a number which can be seen over here. So this is an artificially constructed plasmid that was constructed in the year 1977 by Bolivar and Rodrigues. Now when we talk about this, so we need to understand that how are we going to put the DNA fragment of our interest into this particular region, and then how are we going to differentiate between the recombinants and the non-recombinant. We've already studied that we'll take a DNA fragment with the help of the restriction enzymes, we'll produce a cleavage, and then the fragment of our interest can be separated by using the technique of gel electrophoresis. Gel electrophoresis employs the use of electric current where the DNA, being negatively charged, will get separated on the basis of its molecular size. After eluting the DNA of our interest, we will incorporate the DNA in the cloning vehicle, which is over here we are using as plasmid. The cloning vehicle or vector could be any among this. Here we will use the cloning vehicle, that is the plasmid. So, with the help of PVU1, I will bring about the cleavage of the restriction site by using this restriction enzyme, and I will incorporate the DNA fragment of my interest in this particular region. So, if I use this PVU1 as the restriction enzyme, so as to bring about the cleavage, here there will be a cleaved site which will be produced, and over here I will be able to put the DNA fragment of my interest. So, this red color thing which I am denoting over here, this will be my DNA fragment, the DNA fragment of my interest, which I will incorporate it over here. After the DNA fragment, it has got incorporated over here. With the help of the enzyme, there is DNA ligase. I will carry out the ligation. So, the one which you can see in red, that is the DNA fragment of my interest, and I will carry out the ligation. The ligation will be carried out with the help of DNA ligase. Now, you know that according to the enzyme nomenclature, wherever you have this ASE, that stands for the enzyme. So, DNA ligase will bring about the ligation. They are nothing but glue of molecular biotechnology, which will help to integrate this DNA fragment into this cloning vehicle. And as the plasmid will produce large number of copies in the bacterial cell, we will also get copy of the DNA fragment of our interest. So, plasmid, as it will multiply in the bacteria, we know that E. coli, it reproduces every 20 minutes. So, as the E. coli will reproduce after 20 minutes, it will produce the daughter E. coli, and the daughter E. coli, they will have obviously the extra set of plasmid where the DNA fragment of our interest must have got incorporated, and they will also get replicated. Now, next, after the DNA insert of our interest has got incorporated, the next step is how to locate or differentiate between the recombinant and the non-recombinant DNA. That we will discuss in the next module. In this module, we talked about the cloning vector, basically talked about the plasmid. Thank you.